That's right. In a minute, please. Hare Krishna. Here we go. We're live on YouTube now, so we can start our discussion. Hare Krishna. So welcome everyone today to our Hare Krishna WECAN realization program. This particular program of devotees realization is very, very special because this realization helps us to understand and know each other, and we can learn from each other. That is very, very important, and that's what is the main focus for us, that we have to learn from each other. And you'll be surprised to know how much we can learn from each other, more than just one person, you see. All right. Now, who would like to begin with today, please?
Hare Krishna, Babuji.
Yes, Sanjay Prabhu.
I can start.
Jai, please.
Jai. Hare Krishna.
Please keep showing yourselves. We want to see all of you. If you can. If you can't, don't worry about it. That's okay. Okay. But at least our leaders should show themselves, I believe. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Actually, my realization is on it's the lecture of Guru Maharaj. Amrish Prabhu sent few years back in emails, and I was looking in my old diaries, and I found it's on Srimad Bhāgavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 9, on Bhishmadev teachings. And there are it's on one point I would like to speak on that from the lecture. So this is actually on fate. So His Holiness Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj given this lecture in London on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 9. And one of the point, Maharaj explained how fate is inevitable and it is very difficult to control the fate. It is there and we have to suffer. Only thing that we can do is to purify our existence and activities. And we have fate from previous lives. So even if we come to Krishna, these things cannot be checked. They will come. But it is like that magicians in India who plays with the snakes because poisonous teeth is removed. And further continuation, Maharaj spoken to a conversation with a devotee on this topic of fate. And devotee asked Maharaj that we cannot change our fate, but we have heard after coming to Krishna consciousness, Krishna takes away our sins. So essence of our question is, do we still need to suffer even though we have taken to the path of Krishna consciousness? Can't we change the fate? Then Maharaj gave the example of Pandavas in Mahabharata. Lord was with them. Even then they had to suffer. It is not the question of remembering. Lord was right in front of them. They were always seeing him day and night. But even then, their fate was not changed. Do you follow this point? So they did not worry about the difficulties. They knew that Lord was with them. So they were somehow or other saved in the Lakshagrah, house of lakh. Their house was burnt. How can they be saved? Somehow or the other, they were saved. This is how difficulties are bound to come. The fate is going to work. That flow cannot be um, that flow cannot be changed. It will come. But if you are with Krishna, then the sting will go away. The sting of miseries will go away. Maharaj said in his answers on this topic of fate that after taking up the devotional service of Krishna, the sins are washed away, but the difficulties will not go away. Whatever we have sown, it is going to grow. Nobody can stop it. Only thing is that the misery will be less. Whatever activities they have done, it cannot be changed to not done, but it has to be suffered. Then Maharaj gave another example. If you have robbed the bank in past and now you get arrested, you will be put into the jail. Now that you have taken up devotional service, then even in the jail, you will sit and study Bhagavad Gita, and that will make you misery proof. That misery will not affect you. So Maharaj very nicely explained in practical examples in the conversation, um, and on the topic of Bhishma Dev and how fate plays in Bhishma Dev's life. And Maharaj gave these examples to explain us that how in our lives it also affects, or how we can tolerate it. So this answers a lot of questions arises about our current situation and difficulties that we face in life. This encourages us to take up Krishna consciousness also. This this is very, very enlightening for me. So now, rather getting frustrated by the difficulties in life, I'm taking a different approach and that approach is Krishna conscious approach. As Maharaj explained, that the arrows that we have already shot, they have gone through our hand. We cannot control it now. You could have thought before the arrow is shot. Now, once the arrow is shot, you should wait for the consequences. So, whatever in our hand is now is what we can do now. Whatever is done is done. So, in this regard, there is in Bhagavad Gita, Lord, in 2.14, Lord Krishna explains how we can tolerate these miseries or tolerate, because they are not permanent. And I'll just recite that verse and the translation. Matra sparsastu ponteya sitoshna sukha dukkada agama paino nitya tamasthitikshav bharata. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, ocean of Bharat, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. So the point, the word here is titikshava. Learn, just try to tolerate. Prabhupada translates the word titikshava. Just try to tolerate. So that's what we can do. We can and that toleration comes from Krishna. We can't because we can see around us people in miseries, but it's very less tolerance in them. It's just about no tolerance, and they get very very miserable very quickly. And actually, Guru Maharaj is very mercifully shown us and his practical examples, even in his physical illness, he not used to take medicines very quickly, and he always taught us we should tolerate, and the more we tolerate, the more we can detach from that misery. We can, So this titikshava is the word that stuck to me from this verse and what Maharaj explained. So that's my realization. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Great, thank you very much, Sanjay Prabhu. Hare Krishna. And Naresh, please. You always start off the program. The credit goes to you. Whether you do it or then Avinash Prabhu does it, Okay. Anyone else, please? Because we want to hear from all if it's possible. Anish Prabhu, you're also giving, okay? All of you are going today. From today. Not today, from today.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Very well.
Yes, I'll try to share my relation. But yesterday's class we had with Parth and Divyanshi asking me little question, but they were actually very big questions. And they were asking very practical question about, we're studying that book called Matchless Gift. And in Matchless Gift, we are discussing about Prahlad Maharaj, asking to Narasimha Dev about that famous verse. And we explaining. So that discussion actually came back to how do we apply this knowledge? How do we apply this thing in our day-to-day life? And that's where the discussion become very intense. And we normally have 1 hour class, but this class is, I think, 1 hour 40 minutes, 1 hour 30 minutes, and nobody wanted to go except me. So, so I will quickly give that background, and then I give my realization. The verse I'm referring to is a famous verse 44. So I quickly go to translation. My dear Lord, there are many saintly persons and sages who are very interested in their own liberation. They live in solitary places like the Himalayan mountains. They do not talk to anyone, and they're always afraid of mixing with ordinary people in the cities and becoming disturbed, or maybe even falling down. They think, better let me save myself. I regret that these great saintly persons do not come to the cities where people have manufactured a civilization based on constant hard work. Such saints are not very compassionate, but I am anxious for these fallen souls, fallen people who are unnecessarily working so hard simply for gratification of the senses. So then we understand the background. I think we have very recently discussed this verse also about what is a desire of a devotee, what a devotee wants to do. And people who are actually, they think they're devotee, but that's mentally concocted devotional service where actually they are selfish and they want to focus on themselves, that they feel peace, they feel peaceful. They don't have to do anything and they feel calm and all. They try to control their senses mechanically. So discussion came to that surrender. So how do you actually apply this kind of knowledge in day-to-day thing? And then the discussion came to this point that why pure devotees of Krishna engage into this kind of situation. And we have a very elaborate discussion about philanthropic activities. We discuss about what's happening around us, COVID-19 situation, people suffering, and what we can do and how we can actually give them knowledge and how they can feel. So I think Parth, hope you remember, and Parth gave a very good relation. And so it came back to that it is the ultimate benefit is not not actually giving them something temporary, something so that they have their hunger sorted, they have got a problem fixed, they have got a money, but their problem remains. And that's where devotee stands out. So we started thinking of examples, and we talked about some examples about doing philanthropic activity and things like that. And then I gave an example. I said, imagine Srila Prabhupada, instead of doing what he did for us, he would have gone into build hospitals, other philanthropic activity. Where would we have been? And that is the real preaching. That's the real welfare thing. That's the real thing we can do for general masses. That's exactly what Prahlad Maharaj is telling. And and then the discussion came that sacrifice of knowledge is the ultimate sacrifice, where we give a knowledge, but not any kind of knowledge which benefit them to change their mindset. I remember Parth giving an example. So yeah, Parth and Divyanshi, both Parth particularly, about he's facing difficulty in letting people understand that if they become devotee, if they follow this process, they will become peaceful and all their problems will be solved. And the discussion came that how this Krishna conscious problem can solve my job problem or my financial problem. Don't tell me this, but I don't want to know a spiritual thing. I only want to know to material thing, that how this problem can be fixed. So that's where we were discussing that how this Krishna consciousness can fix their material problem also. And devotees give very nice realizations. And that's where the knowledge came very, very handy. And I said, well, unless your mind is in your control, how you can be peaceful, whatever situation happen. If you're not ready to listen, how you give them this important knowledge. This particular realization I wanted to share based on Amrish Prabhu's very nice post in our group, intermediate group, which I shared to many people, because I also try to preach them, but they don't listen. I said, so that I know you all would have must have read it, but I'll repeat it. Chant anyway, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Your mind is wandering all over the universe when you chant. Chant anyway. Your mind is wandering to the past and future when you chant. Chant anyway. You are not able to concentrate on Krishna's name while you chant. Chant anyway. You have no taste for chanting. Chant anyway. You have lusty desires. Chant anyway. You are making offenses in chanting. Chant anyway. You are not praying to Krishna to help you chant better. Chant anyway. You often chant late at night. Chant anyway. So why? Why should you chant despite all those above obstacles? This is why. There is no vow like chanting the holy name, no knowledge superior to it, no meditation which comes anywhere near it, and it gives the highest result. No penance is equal to it, and nothing is as potent or powerful as the holy name. Chanting is the greatest act of piety and a supreme refuge. Even the words of the Vedas do not possess sufficient power to describe its magnitude. Chanting is highest path to liberation, peace, and eternal life. It is pinnacle of devotion, the heart's joyous proclivity and attraction, and the best form of remembrance of the Supreme Lord. The holy names has appeared solely for the benefit of the living entities as their Lord and Master, their supreme worshipful object, and their spiritual guide and mentor. Whoever continually chants Lord Krishna's holy name, even in his sleep, can easily realize that name is the direct manifestation of Krishna himself, in spite of the influence of Kali Yuga. That is Bhaktivinoda Thakur Sarangati quoted from Adi Puran, from Diary of Traveling Sadhak, volume 13, number 1 by Krishna Kripadas. So I remember reading this particular quote from Amrish Prabhu, and I sent it to many people who actually whom have been trying to understand the importance of Krishna consciousness and follow this process and improve their life, change their life, become successful materially, spiritually, everything. So this is a very powerful message which we get from this particular post from Amrish Prabhu in our group. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much for your realization, Avinash Krishna Prabhu. This is Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhakti Shiromani Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur instructs this. So the importance of chanting, I just like to just share a few of my personal realizations that in Kali Yuga and at the end of Dwapara Yuga, so Kali Yuga, Krishna is very well known as a personality of Godhead. Is known directly and very well known too. But if you study Srimad Bhagavatam, we will realize that Krishna is not immediately known to those people. Those personalities who have meditated for so many thousands of years, they do not know that God is Krishna. They don't know. Srimad Bhagavatam, if we study very impartially, without any preconceived notions, we will realize that we will not be dogmatized that it is a Hindu religious scripture. We will see this as a very universal book, universal scripture, where we see how individuals, excuse me, how individuals have dedicated their whole life in trying to understand who is God. And ultimately, when they see that form of God, how they are awestruck by it. In Kali Yuga, we are all low born. Our age is very less. If we finish maximum in 80 years, 80, 90 years, whatever it is, maximum 100 years, And so much suffering we can see, degradation, lack of intelligence, lack of memory. People are cheating each other. Even they have to be told not to cheat. How nonsense it is. We as children, our parents tell us, you should not speak lies. Because lying becomes a tendency. Every one of us has been told by our parents, is it not so? Our mother, don't lie, we should not speak lie. That means we are lying. Even as small children, we are lying. So what is the hope for us? Before we become devotees of Krishna, we should change ourselves. So this concept of Krishna being God, which is very easily available now, was not easily available at that time. So we have a big benefit, and especially those of us who have come in the shelter of Srila Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. We have to make the most of this, perfect our lives, and if possible with it, we must share this knowledge with everyone, anyone and everyone whom we meet. Jara dako tara kaho Krishna upadesh. Amar agnar guru hayat tara edesh. That's it. No complications. Very nice. Thank you very much. Who would like to give realizations, please? Who will be the next?
Amrisho, I think you have to pick by name, Prabhu. This is.
Hare Krishna, can I give my realization? Okay, Haribol. My realization is from the Transcendental Mellow that was sent. Chapter, I wasn't Transcendental Mellow, but it was a quote from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, text 15. So it was a very nice verse. I'd just like to read it very quickly. Rajasi pralayam ghatva karma sangi sujayate tatha pralinastamasi mudhayoni sujayate. I'll repeat it one more time. Rajasi pralayam ghatva karma sangi sujayate tatha pralinas-tamasi mudha-yoni sujayate. I'll do word-to-word synonyms as well. Rajasi, in passion. Pralayam, dissolution. Gatva, attaining. Karma sanghishu, in the association of fruitive activities. Jayate, takes birth. Tatha, thereafter. Pralinaha, being dissolved. Tamasi, in ignorance. Mudha, animal. Yonishu, species. Jayate, take birth. So pulling that all together. In passion, dissolution, attaining in the association of fruitive activities. Takes birth, thereafter, being dissolved in ignorance. Animal, species, take birth. Now the translation by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. When one dies in the mode of passion, he takes birth among those engaged in fruitive activities. And when he dies in the mode of ignorance, he takes birth in the animal kingdom. So I would like to read the purport. It's very small. It's not very long. It's a few lines. So purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Some people have the impression that when the soul reaches the platform of human life, it never goes down again. This is incorrect. According to this verse, if one develops the mode of ignorance, after his death, he is degraded to the animal form of life. From there, one has to again elevate himself by evolutionary process to come again to the human form of life. Therefore, those who are actually serious about human life should take to the mode of goodness and in good association transcend the modes and become situated in Krishna consciousness. This is the aim of human life. Otherwise, there is no guarantee that the human being will again attain to the human status. So I thought this was a very powerful purport. I just made a few points. Some of these points are, quite obvious from what Prabhupada has mentioned, but there were some points which I thought were, very interesting and also quite, something that I can apply, to myself. So, the biggest, one that Prabhupada very clearly mentions is that, even though we're in the human form of life, we ultimately have a long way to go. And, I think my father mentioned we had the Krishna festival yesterday. And in the lecture, my father was explaining, it's a beginner's program. So we, invite people who are very new to come and, expose them to, Vedic and Krishna consciousness. So my father was saying, about giving examples of how animals are smarter, in cases of how animals can be smarter than humans. And ultimately, if we don't, look in the higher picture, if we just lead a karmic lifestyle, what difference are we? What differentiates us from animals? So, with Prabhupada mentioning that if we are in the mode of ignorance, and which, I find myself personally, most of my life is spent in the mode of ignorance, then what separates us from, being an animal? What to speak of being an animal in your next life? So this verse and the purport by Srila Prabhupada puts a very big reality check and also a lot of perspective on the privilege that we have being in the human form of life, and how easily, conversely, how easily it can be taken away as well. Because it's very easy to remain in the mode of ignorance, and it's very difficult to, put yourself to a standard and discipline of trying to not even reaching, but trying to reach the mode of goodness. Which is why I think when Prabhupada mentioned that, that with good association, obviously, mode of goodness means bringing Krishna at the center of your life. How the whole Krishna conscious movement and the principles that Prabhupada very clearly mentions and is mentioned in the scriptures. But Prabhupada here mentions very specifically that it's good association that helps us transcend the modes. And with good association, we can, practice being in the mode of goodness. So, that a very clear example of good association is what we're doing right now with, the Namhata programs that we do weekly, and also that, we do multiple programs per week. And, often it's said that preaching is actually for ourselves. A lot of preaching that we do is because we want to elevate ourselves as well. So that's a very important point that Prabhupada makes, and also something that I thought was very relevant. And actually, lastly, the point which I think is also very, very important, and something that's a bit more probably, if you are to have discussions with other people, and which I've had in the past, that if you're for example, someone my age would be talking to other people about, is this idea of evolution. And Prabhupada mentions, I'll just repeat the quote in the purport, that if one develops a mode of ignorance after his death, he is degraded to the animal form of life. From there, one has to again elevate himself by evolutionary process to come again to the human form of life. Now, Prabhupada doesn't go in depth about the evolutionary process in this verse, but he has in many other verses. I don't have the references for them at the moment because, truth be told, I haven't gone that much in depth, but I should. And once I actually get those references, I would like to share them as well, because that's very important. That Prabhupada always mentions that, evolution is not Darwinism, right? Darwinism and his, completely skewed and made up idea of evolution is not what Prabhupada is talking about. It's actually the evolution of consciousness. I'm sure we've covered it in our talks in these classes as well. But the evolution of consciousness is how one can reach the mode, how one can transmigrate to different bodies. I think it's mentioned that obviously there's 4.8 million forms of life, but there's also thousands of human consciousness levels as well, through which one transmigrates. So that is the evolution of consciousness. Birth by birth, we slowly get into the ideal human form of life, an ideal platform from which we can give ourselves the best chance of going back to Godhead. So I think that's also very important, an important distinction to have, that evolution, yes, we believe in evolution, but we don't believe in that we came from apes or any of that. That's not really going that much in depth. Really, we are evolved in terms of consciousness because the soul is eternal, and as we go through different bodies, we are constantly evolving our state of consciousness, from an animal to a human, different forms of human consciousness, different, who is more susceptible to be in Krishna consciousness, those who are not perhaps as privileged as we are, for example, someone not being born in India, someone being born in a different, a family which isn't religious or doesn't have any inclination, that sort of thing. So that's the evolution of consciousness. That's how, through our karma, through our previous life, through our activities, we have that chance. So I also think that's also very important for people. I would say people who tend to have those conversations more with their, friends or colleagues, etc. I feel that someone my age or close to my age, we would probably have those conversations quite a lot with other people. Those people that ask about whether you believe in evolution or not, or etc. This is a good verse to point out, or a good verse to refer back to, that actually it's the evolution of consciousness that we believe in. Because of, and then we can go more in depth about, the karmic process, and that, we're not the body with the spirit, soul, etc. So I thought this was a very helpful verse, and also very powerful and hard-hitting, purport by Srila Prabhupada. So, a verse that encompasses quite a lot of things. So yeah, I just thought I'd share that. And once again, I'll try and find the references about that Prabhupada makes about evolution in more detail, because I think that's also very important. So thank you, Hare Krishna.
Yes, thank you very much, Krishna Sabha Krishna. Now, don't wait for me to ask for of you. So, or thank you, just continue. No, we just do it. Say, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Soumya, nice to see you. Yes, please.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. My realization is it is on the same mellow that Avinash Prabhu stated. So, should I read it again?
Yes, yes. Even if it's same,
Yes.
the realizations are different. Don't worry. You read the whole thing. And if you can't show your camera, no problem. Just continue with it, as it is. No problem.
Yes, yes, Prabhuji. The chant anyway. Your mind is wandering all over the universe when you chant. Chant anyway. Your mind is wandering to the past and future when you chant. Chant anyway. You are not able to concentrate on Krishna's names while you chant. Chant anyway. You have no taste for chanting. Chant anyway. You have lusty desires. Chant anyway. You are making offenses in chanting. Chant anyway. You are not praying to Krishna to help you chant better. Chant anyway. You often chant late at night. Chant anyway. So why? Why should you chant despite all the above obstacles? This is why. There is no vow like chanting the holy name, no knowledge superior to it, no meditation which comes anywhere near it, and it gives the highest result. No penance is equal to it, and nothing is as potent or powerful as the holy name. Chanting is the greatest act of piety and the supreme refuge. Even the words of the Vedas do not possess enough sufficient power to describe its magnitude. Chanting is the highest path to liberation, peace, and eternal life. It's the pinnacle of devotion, the heart's joyous proclivity and attraction, and the best form of remembrance of the Supreme Lord. The holy name has appeared solely for the benefit of the living entities as their Lord and Master, the supreme worshipful object, and their spiritual guide and mentor. Whoever continuously chants Lord Krishna's holy name, even in his sleep, can easily realize that the name is a direct manifestation of Krishna himself, in spite of the influences of Kali Yuga. Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Saranagati, quoted from Adi Puran, from the Diary of a Traveling Sadhaka, Volume 13, Number 1, by Krishna Kripa Das. Chanting was the first devotional activity that I took up. It was actually the very first thing I started doing. And at the time, it was like, it is considered, I thought it is the right thing to do. I mean, considering Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he himself has said that chanting is the method of deliverance in Kali Yuga. So I think it has been almost 2 years since I first chanted the holy names. And it took me almost 1 to 1.5 years from chanting 2 rounds a day to chanting 16 rounds daily. Even now, there are times when I cannot chant 16 rounds. For example, I was recently at home and then I was not chanting any rounds. So I just, even after 1.5 years, I am just trying to chant better. I'm trying to chant 16 rounds daily. Now, as it was stated in the Transcendental Mellow, it is necessary to keep chanting. I have myself found that while I chant, my mind keeps wandering everywhere, all over the universe, to the past and future. I don't even realize when my mind has drifted off to things I'm supposed to be doing, things I've done, all the things I have to do in the day, or incidents, or any kind of things. And as a result, I find that I'm not able to concentrate on Krishna's name. Even today, sometimes there are days when I don't want to chant, but I just do it as a sense of duty. And it is just my mind that is telling me to not do, but I should be doing these things. I do have lusty desires, and I have made offenses in chanting. In fact, very recently, I was made to realize that while I was chanting, my pronunciation was not very clear. I was eating up my words, like I was not saying Krishna very clearly. So I tried to correct it. And so even now, I'm just, but understanding my mistake while chanting, it has actually helped me to focus better on my chanting. because since I'm concentrating that I have to speak Krishna properly, as a result of that, I am focusing on Krishna's name, and I think I can do a chanting more attentively. I often forget to pray to Krishna to help me chant better, and I still chant late at night at times because of my schedule and college and all of those things. So I do all the things that have been stated in the menu, and still I am just trying to chant better. I would like to share a personal experience of mine. What happened was that recently I was not being able to attend classes, and I had went home. My exams had been preponed, so they were preponed by almost 15 to 20 days, and I was really unprepared for my exams. And these were the first exams of my second year, and the subjects were more difficult, very much different than first year. So previously, until now, whenever I had my exams, like from when I started chanting, even if it was 2 rounds a day, during my exams, I would not chant at all. I would not do anything. I would just keep on studying, studying, studying. Especially in my first year, I was not chanting, and I was always justify to myself that, okay, I'm not chanting because I don't have the time to chant, and I cannot chant. And exams, so I'm not going to chant and waste my time or something like that. But very recently, this during these exams, I thought that, okay, maybe this time what I should do is I should try to chant anyway, even if I have my exams. I should keep chanting, and I should see if there is a difference. Because I don't know, this thing really hit me one time in Avinash Prabhu's class. I think we were talking about, someone asked a question that for a student, if his duty is studying, then if he does not chant, then is it fine because he is doing his duty? And if he has his exams, then he cannot chant. And maybe Avinash Prabhu, I don't remember, someone said that if you are not chanting for those 1.5 hours or 2 hours, whatever, how much ever time you give to chanting, then instead of that, you are studying. Can you guarantee that you're going to do well in your exams? So I just realized that there is no guarantee. Even if I'm not chanting and I'm devoting that time to studying, I don't know if I'm going to score well. It is not in my control. And so I chanted, I did all 16 rounds every single day of my exams, before my exams, every time, all the time duration. And what I realized as a result was that I was more calm giving my exams. I thought I was more composed, and somehow, I don't know how, even though the exams were preponed, I was able to finish most of my syllabus. What happened while I was chanting, I used to pray to Krishna. Okay, Krishna, I am chanting, but I'm chanting, and I really wish that, like, when I start studying after this, I prayed to him that I have the focus and I can focus on my studies properly. And what happened was, after I chanted, I sat to study, and I don't know how or why this happened, but when I sat to study, I felt like I could immediately focus. Usually, when I study, it takes me almost half an hour or 1 hour to get in the flow of studying, to start remembering things. But after chanting, it happened almost immediately. And also, I could feel that my memory had improved. I don't know, I could remember things faster, I could remember them for longer duration, and all these things happened. Other than that, as I continued chanting, I could also, people that were close to me, they started seeing a difference in me. They started saying that I was sounding more polite. I mean, I don't know, I didn't understand the differences in myself, but people started saying it to me. And then I what I did was, I read some old messages of mine, and these messages that I had sent to some person. And when I read those messages, I felt that, okay, I've sent these messages, but this does not sound like the kind of person that I am. I mean, this sounds so rude. Why did I send these kind of messages? So I just felt like these were the changes that happened in me. And this was just as a result of chanting anyway. Even though I had obstacles, I had to go home. I could not chant then. But when I came back to college, I continued chanting. So, so this was my experience and my realization. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Soumya, this is very nice, very wonderful, wonderful. Good, we have recorded this now, so anyone can also get this, go back and get the realizations, about chanting anyways, the benefit one gets. So chanting is done for spiritual activity, for expressing our love for Krishna, although we don't have love for Krishna. But still, when we want to express love for Krishna, Krishna likes it, Just like a parent, when a child is very small, child cannot express. Like my son, he when he was very very tiny, I remember, he knew only few words, So when he would be surprised to say, "Where have you come into this new country?" He could not say, "Have you come to the new country? What is this? Where are my parents, my grandparents gone? Overnight we changed." So he would just say this, "Papa, peep peep," his car, his car, "Papa, peep peep," but his eyes would say, he wanted to say something. Where is everybody gone? "Papa, peep peep." That's what he would say, all the time. So I understood what he was trying to say, but he did not have the skills to say. Similarly, our love for Krishna, here we are small children. When we grow better after so many years of chanting, hopefully when Krishna accepts our chanting, when we purify ourselves, that he would then reciprocate. He's reciprocating even now. But he would then, even now, he is actually accepting our chanting. So in that, to benefit us, he's giving us what we want. You see? So devotee benefits both spiritually and materially also. There's nothing wrong. Nothing wrong. So remember this. He just, and Radharani is especially looking for after us, because he's very soft-hearted. She also very soft-hearted, but she's most, She will say, "He's better than me, man. Why are you loitering around me only, You go behind this person. Look, much better devotee than me. Even with all these struggles this jiva has got in his material body, so far, still is chanting the name. So you leave me and go there." This is what she will tell. And this is what, when you grow in your devotional service, you will also say to Krishna, "Krishna, look, better devotee than me. You go there first than me. I'm foolish, rascal, don't worry about me." This is the point. So in spiritual world, the competition is inverse, different competition. So we are in a very right place with Srila Prabhupada. At any point in time, if you're in any distress, chant the holy names of Krishna and read Prabhupada's books. If possible, read original books, but doesn't matter. Any book Prabhupada would be best. Prabhupada will take you straight to Krishna. I will cheat one day, everybody will cheat you. Prabhupada will not cheat you. There's a guarantee. Very wonderful. All the best. Yes, please continue. Realizations.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I would like to share my realizations. First of all, I would like to thank Soumya Mataji for such a empowering realization. It was really nice to hear. And so I've been reading a book called Teachings of Queen Kunti, and I really the chapters that I've read up to now, they've been really nice.
Which one? What is the name of the book?
Sorry, Prabhuji?
The name of the book, please.
Teachings of Queen Kunti.
Teaching of Queen Kunti. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Yes. So there were a couple of chapters where Queen Kunti prays to Krishna about how when he's leaving the Pandavas and how when he's leaving for Dwarka, and these chapters are about the prayers that she has. So this is just going to be like a summary of everything that I've read. So none of this is my own, of course. In the book it says, it starts with the point that the Pandavas are the most fortunate, because even though they have so many glories, they have so many opulences, they still depend on Krishna. And in this material world, it is considered very unauspicious to be dependent entirely on somebody. But when it comes to this spiritual dimension, it is the most auspicious thing to be entirely dependent on Krishna. And we like to think as materially conditioned people that we are independent. But if you really think about it, even right now as we're sitting, we're depending on this floor to not shatter into pieces, and we're depending on the ceiling fan to not fall on our heads. In every given moment, we're depending on everything around us to not kill us. And since everything around us is made up of atoms and Krishna sits in each one of these atoms, all of us are dependent on Krishna. It's just that some of us realize it and some of us don't. And it is the most auspicious thing to be dependent on Krishna. And as people who are or who aspire to be devoted to Krishna, it is like in the book it says that the best practice is to always understand that how much danger you would be in if Krishna were not there. A devotee always finds himself in absolute danger in the absence of Krishna. And whenever Krishna is there, even in the most difficult of the situations, he feels safe because he has faith in the fact that Krishna will protect. That is why it is the best thing to surrender unto Krishna. Even Kunti Devi, when she was praying to Krishna, she is the mother of great Bhim, Yudhishthir, all her sons, and she's going to be heading the most powerful kingdom on the planet Earth, and yet she's praying to Krishna that without you, there is no protection for us. If you leave, then we will be annihilated in no time. So please don't leave us. Even with like in the book, it gives the example of Draupadi about how first she was trying to save herself, but in the end, she says that Krishna, if you save me, that is all right. Otherwise, if you kill me, even that is okay. Do as you may like. So it says that like everyone in all of the Pandavas, even like Prabhupada writes that Arjun, while he was a great warrior, in comparison to all of the people who were on the opposite side, like Dronacharya and Bhishma Pitama, all of those people, in comparison to them, he was probably not as powerful. But because Krishna was with him, he emerged victorious. And it writes that Rakhe Krishna mare Krishna rakhe ke. He whom Krishna protects, no one will kill. But if Krishna wants to kill someone, no one can give him protection. Even Ravan, who was a great devotee of Lord Shiva, when he was fighting against Lord Ram, he was praying to Lord Shiva that please give me protection. And even Goddess Parvati was asking Shiva to go there and protect him. But all he said was that since Ram is killing him, I can't do anything about it because this is his will, and I can't give protection to Ravana. So the essence is that Rakhe Krishna Mareke and Mare Krishna Rakhe. This thing is repeated a lot of times, and I personally found these lines extremely powerful. And so for a pious person, even if there is a calamity, his immediate instinct should be to surrender unto Krishna. And Prabhupada writes that such calamities, since they help us remember Krishna, they are extremely auspicious and they should be welcomed because they give us an opportunity to remember the Lord. And since we are essentially, we're not this body, we're the spirit soul. And all these troubles, they are subjected to the material body. Our spirit soul is transcendental to all these material calamities. So even in these calamities, our soul is protected. So our only action should be to surrender unto Krishna and to have firm faith in the fact that he will give us protection. But the thing is that since we're in this material world, there will be calamities because we are in these bodies. There is no escaping from calamities. Even on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and I found this extremely interesting. Arjun said to Krishna that whatever you are saying is all right. I am not this body, I am a soul. And this is also true of everyone else. So when the body is annihilated, the soul will continue to exist. But when I see that my son is dying or my grandfather is dying and that I am killing, how can I be soulless simply thinking that they are not dying? But that only their bodies are changing. I am accustomed to thinking of them with affection in terms of the body. And so there must be grief and suffering. Krishna didn't deny that. He simply said that that's a fact. Since we're in this material world, there will be suffering related to this body. You must tolerate it. That is the only remedy. As even Sanjeev Prabhu said, that tolerance is the only remedy, and that tolerance comes from Krishna. So a devotee is never disturbed by these dangers. And even in these situations, he is a surrendered soul. And again, he thinks, in the Vedic literature, it is said that religion and irreligion, which are complete opposites, are merely the front portion and the back portion of God. And there is no difference between God's front and God's back because God is absolute. So therefore, a devotee thinks that either in opulence or in danger, both of these things are representations of Krishna, and both of these things are the mercy of Krishna. Just a second, please. Yeah. So in any calamity, we must act in a way that our Krishna consciousness can never be hampered. That is the only way. And there was also this, Prabhupada writes this really interesting thing, that in the verse where Krishna says that Kaunteya Prati Janati Name Bhakta Pravishyati. My dear Arjuna, you may declare to the world that my devotee is never vanquished. And now one may ask that why did Krishna advise Krishna to declare this? Why did Krishna ask Arjun to declare this? Why did he not declare it himself? The answer is that if Krishna himself made this declaration, it might be suspected, because Krishna sometimes violates his own promise. But the promise of a devotee will never be violated. That is Krishna's position. My devotee has declared this. He thinks that his word must be kept. So Krishna says that Krishna asks Arjuna to declare it, because if Arjun declares it, then people will believe it. So that was my realization, Prabhuji, with respect to this. I also want to share a little like something that happened to me this past week that I've been meaning to share. So after the last week's class we had, I remember that Ambrish Prabhu told the story about Lord Vitthal, who's like, which is essentially Krishna standing on a brick and waiting for his devotee. So after that class happened on Sunday, and on Monday itself, I was sitting on the dining table with my mother, and she was watching some video. And normally she watches these videos on loudspeaker and nobody says anything. Like it's just like we just sit with her. So in this video, there was a lot of occurrence of the name Vitthal. There was, like, before that I didn't know what, like, that Vitthal was another name for Krishna. So like in that video itself, there was a lot of mention of this name Vitthal. So I asked mom that, what are you watching and what is this? Just like just to know that if this is something relevant. So she told me that Vitthal is Lord Krishna only. And so I said, okay, achha. And then she started telling me the story that she was watching on the video. So I said, okay. So the thing in my family is that if like I've constantly complained about this, that none of my family members are inclined towards Krishna consciousness. So like this has been my constant complaint. So like as I was sitting with my mother, my mom knows that I chant and that I pray to Krishna and whatnot, but she's never addressed it directly. So this time I was sitting with her and I was eating lunch with her. So she asked me directly that, like, I've seen those feedback. So what is it about? So why are you doing this? So I told her that, I tried a lot of things before for my peace of mind. I tried a lot of things, and this is the thing that worked the most. So that's why I'm doing this. So she said, okay. And then we started discussing something. And then immediately out of nowhere, she starts narrating. The next half an hour went her narrating me endless stories of Lord Jagannath. First, I don't know how, just like she was telling me so many stories about Lord Jagannath, and that she also went to Jagannath. So she's completed, like, how there are 4 dhams in the Hindu religion. So she's completed all 4 of them, and she was telling me that, I've been to 4 of them. But when I went to the Jagannath temple, my entire body was vibrating, and I don't know how, but I started crying, and she was narrating me her personal stories as well as the stories of Lord Jagannath. The next half an hour went into this, and she was telling me that, like in the end, she said that when we die, all of our clothes, it will all go away. But when we pray to God, like, she's not a firm believer of Krishna, but she's told me this, that when we believe in God, it empowers our soul. So all of this body will be lost, but that strength that our soul gains, it will carry us forward. So I think it's really nice that you're doing this. And that happened with my mom and with my father. So he does daily worship, right? So what he does is that there comes a little packet of flowers to our house. So, but the thing is that once you open it, it starts rotting really soon. So he and I have different timings of doing daily worship because he has to go to office. So we've like fixed our timings. So he always, like, for the past 15-20 years, he's been offering the flowers. So once I told him that, like, can you just leave like some flowers for me so that I can offer it to Krishna? But he said that, first of all, I've been offering it for so many years, and second of all, if you wait too much, the flower will go bad. So maybe you can like pluck it from somewhere far away or something, or anyway you're offering tulsi leaves, so it's okay. But I don't think the flower will go bad till the time you pray or something. So I said, that's okay. That's completely fine. I'll just like make do with whatever it is. But so like for the past 2-3 weeks, I've seen this, that ever since I've told him this, what he does is that he takes one flower and he puts it in front of Krishna himself. Then he's like, okay, so it will go bad till the time you're here. So I'll put it myself. So just like this will. And I was just thinking that even though they're not devotees, but they're like extremely supportive of what I do, and they're like encouraging. So I've become more grateful, and I like my complaints have really gone down. So yeah.
Very nice, very nice. Hare Krishna. I'm just sitting here and listening to people, devotees, all of young people's practical realizations, that how you are experiencing the power of chanting, the power of dedication to Krishna, how it is helping you, like Soumya said, you were saying. And I immediately went back to the time where we were at Newland Community Center, and I had this desire that how do we promote this internationally? So I was breaking my head for so many years, and Corona hit, and it was very easy for me to implement what I was thinking for so many years. Because we were thinking, how do I make it live from our programs and then be broadcasted to people? But I like interactivity in life. So how do we make it interactive? Many years ago, and we said, okay, now Corona, and you believe me, we had forecasted Corona will come. So when we were preparing for it, when it came, that's it. And then we said, I was thinking to myself that, okay, well, the challenge would be that how will we, all these devotees, we can have this communication and interactivity, and there we can go into their lives, wherever they want to, and making sure that they can guide them. So Avinash also did these programs, which is what is helping you, all of you. It's very nice. So now to always feel what is the time where they will feel the presence of Krishna. Because potency we don't have. Potency I don't have. Potency we do not have. Others would have it here. But Prabhupada's potency is there, So the biggest challenge for us, for me, was to how do we deliver Srila Prabhupada to you, all of you, and new generation were coming, as it is. That was the biggest challenge and biggest test for me, my personal thing. If it was not going to happen, I was going to close down everything. There's no point in doing it, no point in cheating business. Ultimately, it is Srila Prabhupada's teachings that is what we have to help us, helping all of you. So I'm very happy to listen to all these realizations, and satisfied that at least we are in the right process, where all of you youngsters are and new devotees are in the process, the right process. All the same time, we are also engaged, like Avinash Prabhu is doing program with you. So Sanjay Prabhu will be doing his program, is doing. So Sri Prabhu is doing PHP, So the idea is that we have multiple programs like this. Multiple all of you are doing, talking, which you are doing already. And I can see that, That is the thing. And how to make sure that all of you get less disturbance in your activities, bhakti and preaching activities. That is my challenge. It was not there before. It was there in some portion because I was involved directly myself. Now I have to get work done. You are all doing it. So I make sure that we empower you and with less disturbance, So I'm very happy that things change. We can also, seeing all of you, I change, Seeing all of your realizations help me my realizations, It's very, very wonderful. All the best to you. We are on the right track. All of you are the tests, examinations for us. Hare Krishna. But we will also cheat you. That is the biggest examination. When I come and cheat you, you should know what is Prabhupada saying and what is this Rascal Ambrish saying. That is the biggest test. When you can say, no, Ambrish is wrong, Prabhupada is right, here is what Prabhupada is saying, then it is my test. That is the best test. Okay, Hare Krishna. Yes, anyone else, please continue.
Please accept my
Oh, Parth is here. So nice. We keep hearing your glories, about your activities. We don't see you. You're unmanifested like Krishna. Adokshaj, you are like, Krishna's devotee is Adokshaj. Krishna's Adokshaj, devotee is also Adokshaj. Anyway, nice to see you. Where are you? Are you in back with your family, or you are back in Delhi, or?
Prabhu, as of now, I'm in with my family. I'll be going back to Delhi as soon as my office starts. It's work from home right now, but
Yeah.
I'll go back to Delhi soon.
So it should happen soon because of the COVID is now plateauing. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we will not still see you today. No problem. You can just speak without it. No problem at all. I'm all right with it. Please continue. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Very important.
Hare Krishna, is my voice audible?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I am really grateful and thankful for such inspiring realizations by Divyanshi Mataji and Soumya Mataji. They were very practical and very realistic, and it literally just touched my heart. And my realization is also on similar lines as the note as Divyanshi Mataji ended on about this hidden Sukriti and people starting to worship Krishna. So I'll share it. The mellow I chose was book distribution. So the big one conversation between Rameshwar Prabhu and Srila Prabhupada about book distribution. So about if there are millions of books being distributed, then where are the millions of devotees from there, right? So now this realization that I have is basically about very personal. It is about my maternal side of the family, like my nana, nani, and people there. So what happened was, so this is even involving Avinash Prabhu also. So now we were trying to when we got into contact with Krishna consciousness, we were trying to give Krishna consciousness, distribute Krishna consciousness to people so that it can help their life. Seeing how they were troubled and seeing their material anxieties, my mom especially, and they all wanted to help her side of the family. But there were a lot of challenges, especially there were a lot of challenges. Basically, they were not ready to accept. They had some conceptions about God and everything, and they were not basically ready to accept. So initially, what my mom did was, because so she was also new to Krishna consciousness, and I was too very new to Krishna consciousness, all these things. So she heard from somebody that if somebody is not agreeing to what you are trying to preach or something, you can just give them a Srila Prabhupada book and just wait and let the magic happen. You don't need to do anything else. Just give a book and slowly walk away. So that's what. So she heard that and she gave a Bhagavad Gita back in like 2005, 2006 somewhere. And she gave a Bhagavad Gita, and that Bhagavad Gita, I don't know they read it or not. I don't know where it was kept, but she gave it in spite of everything. Then after some time, even Avinash Prabhu came to India, and he also went to their homes and tried to preach something about Krishna, talk something about Krishna. But and people were inspired because Avinash Prabhu has this presence and aura, so people were obviously inspired and to towards Krishna. But again, their daily routine didn't change. They still were doing everything that Prabhupada said not to do. So they were all they were doing that. Now, so yeah. Now what what happened was slowly. So this is back in 2006, 7, 8, 9, and this is 2020 right now. So since I'm growing up and I'm seeing that why are people not, and this is my again new days. So I'm seeing that why are people not getting this simple message that you're not the body, you're the soul, and you have to realize that you're the soul, and you have to devote yourself to Krishna. That is it. What is the complication here? Just so every method I tried. I tried scientific theories. I told them, see, this is the scientific research paper by Harvard. This is Stanford. See this, that. They all nod their heads and yes, very fine, very good. यार लड़का बहुत अच्छा बन गया आपका, बहुत बातें अच्छी करता है. So they all said that, but nobody Nobody came to Krishna consciousness. They all praised, they clapped and everything. They were like, "Arey part se kirtan karate hain, arey part se bhajan karate hain." So I was the bhajan guy in the family, but nobody could. So anyway, so that kind of started to frustrate me. Now, when this frustration came in, I I read somewhere this quote by Radhanath Swami that if in your devotional life frustration comes in, then you're not doing your devotional life properly. Your devotional life should be full of bliss and happiness. Nowhere should it be frustrating or something. So you should fall back to the basics, go back to what Prabhupada said, go back to the principles of bhakti, and then maybe your life will be easy. And then obviously in your classes, Amrish Prabhu, I got to know that okay, it's fine if people are not ready. Just it is their part. They're not ready. Just that is it. You cannot do anything about it. Even Avinash Prabhu stressed on this point a lot. But so I realized I developed patience and everything. Now some exciting thing happened in the past 2 years. So what happened was my nani. So my nani, she picked up chanting. So she saw my mom is chanting and basically her daughter is chanting and her pota, so grandson is also chanting. What is it in chanting that they do it continuously? ऐसा क्या है? मतलब she said that I have also worshipped इतने सारे god. मैंने शिव जी की पूजा की, इधर किया, वो किया, meditation किया, yoga किया. What is it that they keep on going and they're happy and they're smiling? So what is it that keeps them going? So she just tested for experimental purpose कि let's prove them wrong, let's see ऐसा क्या है, let's see क्या है. She started 2 rounds, 2 years back, and believe me not, right now she does 64 rounds a day, every day. 64 and sometimes even more than that. uh, that and then seeing her do it, other family members started seeing, okay, what is it in chanting that she is doing it? Let's also experiment. Why is she doing it? So now slowly the entire family on my maternal side, they were like, imagine from 2007-8 to 2020, so many years they didn't chant. But right now, whenever I go home, I can see bead bags in everybody's hand, and they're all in some or the other way, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And they're all developing this. So they're leaving their past habits, they're giving up on food habits. Like, it is a very simple progress, but it is happening, giving up on onion, garlic. And this was a very big thing for them. So these things were happening. Then so I was I was happy. I obviously knew that it was not our doing or whatever. It was Krishna's hand and Prabhupada's hand. And then my mom said, see, the Bhagavad Gita that we gave worked it magic, but it took 16 years, 12 years, but it worked in the magic. After some time now, so I was having a conversation that maybe they are just chanting. Why not give them some philosophy? So I had this doubt ki they are just chanting. Like, should we not give them maybe Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita? Like, some philosophy should be there, because Prabhupada has given so much philosophy. They're just chanting, so why not? So I had even a conversation with Avinash Prabhu in our Saturday class that, Prabhu, I'm wanting to maybe introduce my nani to Bhagavatam, because she has read other Purans and she's also read Bhagavatam, but by other commentators. So I want to introduce her to Bhagavatam. But I told him that she might not be as interested because of the past things. Although she's chanting, she's perfectly fine with that, but she just might not be. So Avinash Prabhu told me that, why are you disturbing her? She's chanting 64. Are you not happy? Don't disturb her. Don't agitate. If she's doing chanting, philosophy is there so that she can keep on chanting. Don't disturb. So I realized that, and then yeah, I followed that, and yes, things are moving. So this was my basic realization of, not a realization, of personal experience that I had, that patience pays it off, and Prabhupada works his magic every time, every single time. So this was Prabhu, my realization.
Wonderful. Yes, there is in the nectar of instruction, all of you, we will move you to the to the next level now soon. I will have a discussion about this. After you give the basic examination, basically, But that's all right. It's not a very big difficulty, So, in that nectar of instruction, there is a verse which talks about these things. Nectar of instruction is Sri Udeshamruta. And in that there is an instruction which says Utsahan Nishchayat Dhairyat Tat Karma Pravartanat Sangatyagat Sutavhutehe Shadbir Bhakti Prasiddhyati. So this is the point where how with enthusiasm, with determination, and with dhairyat, means with patience, one can progress in one's devotional service. So that what has been progressing in devotional service, we have to understand how each individual himself has got its own, karmic reactions, and how Prabhupada's magic works, as you correctly said. There is one particular instance where Prabhupada are telling a devotee. I heard it from some devotee. So it's a long process of hearing. That you rascal, you just give my book and you get out of there. I'll talk to the person. So this is a very big instruction where if we want to associate with Prabhupada, open the book and read. He's talking to you one-on-one. And that is what I always tell devotees, so many devotees. They want to listen to so many Bhagavad Kathakars, including devotees. There's nothing wrong with it. But first listen to Prabhupada and then listen to everybody else. So finish reading Prabhupada's books, including Srimad Bhāgavatam completely, and then listen to everybody who's stopping you. But because you don't want to read, you're listening to somebody else. So this point about Utsaha Nishchaya Dhairyat Tat Karma Pravartanat Sangatyagat Sato Vruttehe Sharbir Bhakti Prasiddhyati. So there are 6 opulences, 6 principles favorable to execution for the execution of pure devotional service. Pure devotional service, okay? Not devotional service. First is being enthusiastic. Utsahat. Nishchayat means confidence. Dhairyat means patience. That's what you said now. Very good. Tat karma. So with this, various activities favorable for devotional service. Pravartanat. And then slowly association of non-devotees, Sangatyagat will happen. We just talk to people as much as we want to talk to people. Doesn't mean you become enemies of devotees, and enemies of people. Don't become enemies. Just talk nicely, no problem. So this Shataha, the previous acharyas have said, Vrute, following in their footsteps. Shadbhi means 6. Bhakti, devotional service. Prasiddhyati, advances. One becomes successful. So there is enthusiastic, endeavoring with confidence, being patient, acting according to regulative principles, the Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, abandoning the association of non-devotees, following in the footsteps of previous acharyas. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. And what is the success of pure devotional service? What is the complete success of pure devotional service? The complete success of pure devotional service is constant remembrance of Krishna. That's it. Nothing else. So very nice. We heard about your stories in your pastimes. Avinash will keep telling me. And that's we are hearing from you. It's very good. You are very eager to make sure that at least your family members are devotees first before you make everybody else devotees. That is very nice. That is very nice. All the best to you. You have a very bright future. All of you, young boys and girls, your future is secured. It will be peaceful. In difficult times, you know what to do. And now we are very open about it. We have given you already the key. So people follow Prabhupada. You won't miss it. That's it. But we have to follow Prabhupada with intelligence. Don't follow other people without following Prabhupada. This is very important. You follow other people by following Prabhupada. And your Adi Guru is there in your house, Avinash Prabhu. He's your Adi Guru. So to follow him. So you'll be all safe, So wonderful, very nice, very nice. Okay, others, please continue. Okay, what's happening, bhai? Do you want me to bring you out from your stable? Is it? Come on, come on.
Okay.
Yes, continue.
Nice realization. Thank you, Sanjay Prabhu, Avinash Prabhu, Divyanshi and Samya Mataji, and Parth Prabhu. It's what very, actually really great to hear your realizations. So just actually what Parth Prabhu said regarding the book distribution, actually that I remembered, the actually magic of Bhagavad Gita always works. And even Amrish Prabhu told us, even if you hold Bhagavad Gita, you will get a Sukruti, even if you don't read it. So that actually remembered my own personal experience that actually I shared before as well, but I will reshare that. That before I actually come to this path of Krishna consciousness, that was back in 2000, around 9-10. So before that, actually, I was living in Auckland for many years. I think from 2004-5, and actually, I used to work down actually near St. John's. And every day I used to go for lunch during lunchtime. I used to actually drive my car and grab something for lunch. And one day somebody pulled my hand while I was walking near the mall. And I had a look and there was one devotee. Means at that time I even don't know that these are Hare Krishnas. And I asked, oh, what you want? And he just showed me the actually Bhagavad Gita. And then he said, oh, you should buy these books. I said, oh, and I didn't say anything. And he was a white devotee. And actually, he actually tried to, I don't remember our conversation as well, but he tried to convince me to buy the books. And when I saw the picture of Krishna, actually, I feel ashamed at the time. And I said, oh, this is actually, he's a white person. He's actually distributing Bhagavad Gita in New Zealand. And I felt it really bad. And I asked him, oh, how much? I said, I have to pay you. And he said, oh, something $25. And I paid him and he gave me a couple of books. So I got the books and actually I just ran back because I had to go back to my work again. And I know that was an important book. So I actually kept, at that time I was just, that was a new job after my completion of my postgraduate degree. So I was still like a student. And I put my books in my bag. And after that, I never had a look at that for a long time. And when I went back to India, actually I remembered. And I always actually knew the Bhagavad Gita is a very important book. I've seen that in movies so many times. Because I was raised as a Jain, so I never actually, nobody told me about Bhagavad Gita. So actually, I opened the book at the time and tried to read it. It was Srila Prabhupada's books, Bhagavad Gita. And couple of pages I read it and I struggled actually to understand. I said, oh, the English here is, I said, too difficult to understand. And I said, I don't understand what is written here. So I remember actually I mentioned that to my sister. She was actually doing something nearby. And I said, I can't understand what is written in this book. And again, I closed it and that was it. And after that, actually a year, maybe 6 months later, I came back to New Zealand. And then somehow actually I got in touch with His Grace Amrish Prabhu, So that was a turning point in my life. And so everything actually, so now I realize actually, that actually devotee who actually distributed that book to me, So I don't remember his face, but actually means I'm very thankful to him that, somehow actually he put me in contact with Srila Prabhupada, and that's how I actually got in touch with the devotees in Auckland, So many years I lived, but I never went to the temple. But even actually before I actually come back to New Zealand, actually I went back for good. Actually, I left New Zealand at that stage with the intention of never returning, but actually somehow the things changed. I went to the Tirupati as well at the time before I came. And after I actually joined Namata, I realized Tirupati is actually Krishna. I didn't even know that. at that time. So all actually, it falls in place. And now I realize that actually how important it is actually distributing the book. Even somebody, even if we give you Bhagavad Gita without explaining anything, still it, as Parth Prabhu said, it works as magic. So yeah, that actually, that was actually wanted to share you. So so I want to share my realization on one of the transcendental mellow by His Holiness Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj. I read that actually mellow few days ago, and I was meditating on that. So the mellow, the thing which is not there, we feel as if it is there and hold on to it. Maya is like a powerful brahmachari's son drinking water in the mirage. Maya is like a powerful brahmachari's son drinking water in the mirage. There can be no water in the mirage, nor can brahmachari have a son. The things which are impossible, we think that it is possible. So actually, when I read that, actually I amazed initially. And so I said, it was very beautifully written, and it sounds a bit humorous when you read it. But actually, when you meditate on that instruction, it's such a powerful instruction given in such a simplistic way. So I was meditating, and actually I was also preparing for Bhagavad Gita class last week, and the same point actually came up while reading to Srila Prabhupada's Realization, where Srila Prabhupada says that actually means when I actually meditated on this instruction, I realized that actually even I am on actually try to become Krishna conscious now. We actually associating with our group and devotees, and we study Bhagavad Gita. But what this is referring to, what I realized that actually this is nothing but our attachment to this material world and our material possessions. We think that actually this is what it is going to make us happy, and we put so much effort. Even means almost all our previous life, actually we prepared ourselves for this actually to actually fit within this material world and try to achieve something that will make our life comfortable. And now we are actually studying this Bhagavad Gita instruction, and we know that this world is not really permanent. It's quite temporary, and our existence in this world is also temporary. So is bound to actually come to an end. And I always wondered, even we know all the instruction, Amrish Prabhu actually taught us so many years, that actually our real focus should be on actually becoming Krishna conscious, where we can have the remembrance of Krishna all the time. But when I think of myself, I still feel that, I don't put that many efforts where actually I'm putting the efforts in my job, in my material life. And I act in such a way that I still means have a faith that actually these things will actually going to make us happy, make me happy, and it's really means wonderful thing. Wonderful means actually it's illusion. Actually, we know it's illusion, but still we are not convinced. So that is what I realized. And where Srila Prabhupada actually, when I was reading, Srila Prabhupada said the devotees are very chatur. Devotees are not interested in anything that is not permanent. So we're only interested in permanent thing. So as spirit soul, we are eternal, and we should actually aim for eternal things. So that is going back to Godhead or being in association of the actually devotees, where you can actually serve the devotees. So that is our eternal position, to become a servant of the God. So I was actually meditating on this point, and I always think, even during a chanting, whenever I do chanting, I always try to focus, and somehow means this mind is so powerful, actually it drags our attention to something else, and sometimes we don't, sometimes round finishes and we still don't realize that actually I'm not focusing on actually round. And when you realize, you try to bring your mind back, and I was thinking, no, actually it should be other way around. We should be always actually remembering Krishna, and we have to consciously make effort to draw our attention out to do our duties. It should be other way around. But No, the way it is now is actually we are struggling to focus on Krishna's name. We try to remember Krishna. We try to engage, in different services where we can, but we still try to struggle to find a time to do the service. So while meditating on that point, actually, I remembered, actually, this is a realization was shared by Amrish Prabhu as well in the past. So this is a Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam reference, where Srila Prabhupada gave the commentary on verse, Canto 7, Chapter 2, verse 57. So I will not actually go into the details, but I will come to the purport, actually, this translation, where the Yamraj, this translation goes like this: thus Yamraj, in the guise of small boy, told all the queens, "You are all so foolish that you lament, but you do not see your own death. Afflicted by poor fund of knowledge, you do not know that even if you lament for your dead husband for hundreds of years, you will not never get him back alive. And in the meantime, your lives will be finished." So actually practical instruction when you think of it. And Prabhupada, actually Srila Prabhupada wrote this purport where Yamraj once asked Maharaj Yudhishthir, "What is the most wonderful thing within this world?" Maharaj Yudhishthir replied, and this is in reference to Mahabharat Van Parva, chapter 313, verse 116. Ahani ahani bhutani gachanti tha yamalayam sheshah stavaram icchanti kim asharyam atha param. So hundreds and thousands of living entities meet death at every moment, but foolish living being nonetheless thinks himself deathless and do not prepare for the death. This is the most wonderful thing in this world. Everyone has to die because everyone is fully under the control of material nature. Yet, everyone thinks that he is independent and that whatever he likes, he can do, that he will never meet death but live forever, and so on. So, so-called scientists are making various plans by which living entities in the future can live forever. But while they are thus pursuing such scientific knowledge, Yamraj, in due course of time, will take them away from their business of so-called research. So this was actually means very important instruction, and the way Maharaj Yudhishthira replied, actually, we all know that we are all going to die, and we see other people are dying, but we think that this is never going to happen to me. So we live in that mentality, and it's so true. Even now we are actually studying Bhagavad Gita, and we know all this actually, the philosophy. Still, uh, my behavior actually is not actually changing. Means with all this knowledge, I expect that there should be a big change the way I behave, but that's not happening. So I was wondering, and that's how I was thinking on this point. And we are under illusion. We are under this actually three modes of material nature. And because we are attached to these material things, we think like an illusion person. So here we know that we're going to die, but we are not really putting that much effort to prepare for our own death. As Guru Maharaj says that, if you want to become serious in devotional service, you have to see yourself on a deathbed. So that fear has to be there, and that will make us serious. So there is a Bhagavad Gita verse actually talks about the same point. Daivihi esha gunamai mama maya durantaya mam eva prapadante mayamitam tarantite. So this divine energy of mind consisting of the three modes of material nature is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. So as Krishna says, there's actually we are under these three modes, and it's very difficult to overcome. So as Maya Devi means actually, she's actually making sure, if you want to actually try to become a devotee, she makes sure actually we have actually settled our material accounts, we have actually made ourselves detached from these material things before we actually, raise ourselves to that Brahmabhuta platform, So that is actually means I was thinking about this point, and is as Krishna says here, those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. So it again comes down to the same, to surrender to Krishna, surrender to Krishna's instructions. So we actually means we are actually putting so much efforts in trying to become a devotee, but actually unless we take this instruction seriously, so when we say actually taking the instruction means actually practically implementing them, in our daily lives. So that is actually means one of the toughest tasks, means we know all this philosophy. I know, we have heard so many devotees, and they have actually told, how to become a pure devotee, but actually these instructions, uh, I have to actually implement in my life, and unless I do that, this is not going to actually translate into actually pure devotional service, So it is quite a big task, but again, actually it comes down to the basics, So actually implementing the instruction, that is what I realized. And unless we take this instruction seriously, as Srila Prabhupada says that, one should be intelligent enough to take the instruction. It takes a moment to become Krishna conscious, but one has to be sincere to that level. And what I realize is I'm not that sincere, that's why it's actually I'm still struggling in this material world. And Guru Maharaj also says that actually one has to be very cool-headed. When you're cool-headed, you are composed and you can be able to make right decisions in a struggle for existence in this material world. So that is what I realize, and that's my realization. Hare Krishna.
Very nice. Very nice. Top class. Wonderful. Hare Krishna. Yes. Any more. Keep it coming. Send me more. More realizations, please.
While waiting for others, Prabhuji, I would like to share one more point that I realized recently. Actually, means always actually I try to force my daughter to chant most of the time, And initially, when I started doing that, I always wondered, by forcing her, actually, is it going to work? The chanting, because I know she's quite disfocused while chanting, but she still chants, and I actually try to set her goals, and whenever I pushed her boundaries, actually she actually means she did it. So I realized that, so I always said, you had to chant this many rounds, and on Ekadashi you're going to chant this many extra round, and on festival this many extra round, and she remember all those instructions. So she always tell me that today is Ekadashi, so I'm going to chant this many rounds. So that is working. And actually means I don't know where she's listening. Maybe she listened to actually listening to the instruction while we speak, or maybe even her school, they are also teaching these devotional things. And sometime I tell her, no, if you chant actually this many rounds, I will give you this one something, And whenever I don't do it, and she comes back and say, that's very bad, Daddy. I say, Papa, that actually you're lying, you're a liar, and Krishna will punish you. This is, you will get a bad karma. So sometime when I heard that, actually I become very scared. I said, okay. I said, I have to be, very mindful what I say. Otherwise, so yeah, that's what I realized. And actually means I was thinking on this point, and she's chanting, and actually, she's actually talks some philosophical points as well, I realizing this. And what I realized this actually, I realized this Prahlad Maharaj instruction, So, Shri Prahlada Uvacha Kaumara Acharit Pradno Bhagwan Dharman Bhagavatamiha Durlabam Manusham Janma Tadapi Adruvam Arthadam. So, where Prahlad Maharaj instructed that actually devotional service should start at the tender age of 5, And I heard this instruction many times, but I always used to wonder why actually at this age, how can children understand all this, philosophical instructions and chanting and all that. But I can see that actually now it is happening, as they chant, actually, it does actually make a difference. And what I realized that actually, I'll always come to my mind that I wasted all these years, I always actually means, it's always come to me that I should have had somebody who had guided me when I was actually small. So I would have used all this year, I would have chanted, I would be in much better position that I am now in. So that is actually the point that I realized, and means there are so many now young devotees who are following, and they're very lucky that you are joined at such a young age, So that gives you like a quite a good enough time to prepare yourself. So I think, so if you are joined actually this movement very young, so you are on actually really good platform to actually make yourself ready for what I shared as preparation for the death. So that's what I want to share, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Very nice. Very nice. Hare Krishna. On the young age, starting. So please, I'm filling in for people. If you can prepare yourself, the next speakers, please prepare yourself. Just I'll take a minute or so. On this thing about, we came to Krishna consciousness late. Devotees feel that way. We should have been a bit earlier. I remember when Guru Maharaj came to our home for the first time, and Maharaj were here in Auckland. So it was a wonderful day. The whole atmosphere was very lighting. Sun was out, vibration. Maharaj came, body was fully bright. Our whole house was fully bright. So Maharaj was sitting, on my sofa. Her sofa that we use, where we put nice arrangement. Maharaj was sitting there, and I was sitting at the lotus feet of Maharaj, like this. Maharaj chair here, sitting here. So I was sitting down, looking at Maharaj like this, So I think Maharaj had prasadam or waiting for prasadam, something like this was going on, And devotee is also there, now sitting next to him, Maharaj's lotus feet. And Maharaj was remembering, this point only. Time he said, I don't know whether I asked Maharaj or what. When did you come to Krishna consciousness? Something like I must have asked. I don't know. So, but I don't remember that. But Maharaj looked and Maharaj was saying, I started at the age of 40, Maharaj was at the time 80. 80, 81 or something, 82 or something. Maharaj said, I started at the age of 40, The Maharaj said 40 years wasted, And those tears, he had this here, slightly. Maharaj never showed emotions. I was very brand new, new devotee seeing this, I looked at that. Maharaj was really feeling that, but Maharaj never wasted 40 years. Before that also, Maharaj knew all Bhagavad Gita. Maharaj's search was continuous, So not that way, but Maharaj also felt 40 years wasted, Maharaj had considered from 40 years it began. I just thought I said even it was really feeling, Hare Krishna. Yes, please. Other devotees, we want to hear now.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I'm just relishing these nice realizations from all the devotees. It's so beautiful that it's just nectar flowing out actually. So my realization is from one of Maharaj's transcendental mellows. Maharaj says in this, in Japa, we chant the rounds. Why? Because we want to experience Krishna. There is no other way we can see Krishna. Our senses are imperfect. We cannot see what is beyond this wall. If at all we see a completely wrong thing. Far away mountains appear blue. We know that they are not blue. They cannot be blue, but they look blue. we see wrongly. These senses are completely insufficient to see Krishna. Even if Krishna stands here, we will not be able to tolerate. We cannot see him face to face with these instruments. The only way we can visualize the Lord is through his names. Otherwise, there is no way, and that is why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu insists that in this age of Kali Yuga, there is no other way, no other way, there is no other way. Nastev, 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 gatir anyatha. So I remember when we started chanting, me and my Prabhuji, we were told that you should start chanting. Even if you chant one round, you should do it daily. So I remember that we started chanting together, and we after 1 or 2 days we started enjoying it. When we started, it was just like, oh, somebody is telling me, so I have to do it. But later on, we started enjoying it, and then we slowly increased, and then Amrish Prabhu and Mataji, they just pushed. Oh, how many rounds you are chanting now? Okay, we have gone to 8. Now you have to do 16. And then I was so bewildered. I said, how can I do it? I have got so much work to do. I'm working, and then I have to come home, and I have to cook and look after my children. I can't do it, but just because they just pushed us, and then with their mercy we started doing, and once we started, there's no going back. And now it's such, I mean, without chanting, it just feels, even if we sometimes happens in some situation that if it is we are behind little bit, then we feel, oh, we can't sleep without finishing our rounds, and because it's so much dear to our heart now. So I was just, when I was meditating on this transcendental mellows, I remember that Amrish Prabhu always used to say because when we started, there was this verse Amrish Prabhu always quoted. So the verse is, this is from Narad Pancharatra. Sarvopadhi vinirmuktam tattva paritvena nirmalam Rishikesha Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate. And translation is, Bhakti or devotional service means engaging all our senses in the service of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the master of all the senses. When the spirit soul renders service unto the Supreme, there are 2 side effects. One is freed from all material designations, and one's senses are purified simply by being employed in the service of the Lord. So that time it felt so difficult. How can we do it? But once you start chanting, and slowly you feel that how your life is different from your previous life now. You don't enjoy those things which you used to enjoy, because they feel anarthas now. And slowly with the association of the devotees, we feel that we have changed ourselves in lot of ways. Although we are living in this material world and we are dealing with the people, but still our lifestyle or our thinking, everything has changed. So it happens when we start our devotional service, it feels really difficult. It looks like, how can we do this? But with the association of like-minded devotees, pure devotees, we slowly, they just help us actually go through all those phases, and then start feeling the presence of Krishna in your life, and then your life feels really sublime. So I'm still struggling in a lot of ways, but with the association of all the devotees, when I'm in the association of all the devotees, I feel so confident and very, very blissful. And I just pray to all the devotees, please never leave me. Always, always, please forgive me if I commit any offenses. That is my realization. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Very nice. Thank you very much, Mother. Hare Krishna. Please, others, please continue. Mahesh.
Can you hear me, Prabhuji? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Can we see you?
Prabhuji, there is some problem with the laptop, Prabhuji.
No problem. Let's hear you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, all the devotees, for sharing all the realizations, nice realizations. It was very helpful and very motivating. And thank you, Prabhuji, for this program. So I'm sharing this realization about this, about the Maharaj's mail, one of the mails about Amrish Prabhu's mail was about chanting. Chant anyway. Your mind is wandering all over the universe when you chant. Chant anyway. Your mind is wandering to the past and future when you chant. Chant anyway. You're not able to concentrate on Krishna's names while you chant. Chant anyway. You have no taste for chanting. Chant anyway. You have lusty desires. Chant anyway. You are making offenses in chanting. Chant anyway. You are not praying to Krishna to help you chant better. Chant anyway. You often chant late at night. Chant anyway. So what I realized from this Melo is that, Prabhuji, even if you cannot concentrate on chanting, you should still keep repeating the Lord's name. So you can actually get the even if you're not concentrated on the name, you can actually get the benefit out of the just saying and feeling those vibrations and listening to the sound of the chanting. So sorry, Prabhuji, I actually lost my I typed the realization, but I actually not I got deleted, so I'm just confused. Yeah. So I wanted to share the share that verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam kalaunasti, eva nasti, eva gatiranyataha. So in this verse that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that in this yuga you must chant the holy name. That is the only way to go back to the Godhead. So even if you are not concentrating, even if you are struggling with your chanting, just keep chanting, you will get better. Even if you are not praying to Krishna, that Krishna to get my chanting to get my concentration better. Even if you are not saying that, but keep chanting anyway, you will get better. So even if you are struggling on everyday basis with your everyday work, your social life, the chanting will help. You just have to keep chanting even if you are going through the rough day, or you are having a bad day at work or in your personal life. So so one of my personal experience is about so back in early days when I introduced to the Krishna consciousness, when Shital Prabhuji told me that how Krishna consciousness is, like what it actually is, what is Bhagavad Gita, who is Krishna. Then I started chanting, and he came back to New Zealand, and I was actually very confused about what is actually true. Like there was all this teaching about Jainism. There was like my mom used to teach me that, my grandmother used to teach me, but I kept chanting like uh, not continuously, but 1 or 2 rounds every day. And as I'm chant, as I was chanting, so I used to at the end of the chanting, I used to just say that let me let me guide me to the absolute truth. What is actually the truth is. So as the time went, I actually as I came to New Zealand, then I joined the program. But even before that, so Shital Prabhuji actually left his book at the back in India. So I got those books. I started reading also. It's like very light reading, but I actually introduced to this all this Krishna consciousness and what it actually is. So actually from the chanting, I believe that from that chanting and praying to Krishna, I wasn't actually taking Krishna's name, but I was just saying that let me guide to the what is the absolute truth is. So that chanting helped me that, and it actually guided me to this what is the absolute truth is. So before that, I was actually very confused about what is Jainism and what is Krishna consciousness. Yeah, Prabhuji. So that helped. Thank you. Sorry for all over thoughts all over the place. I was just very confused, and I just got back from the work also, Prabhuji. So that was very sorry about that, Prabhuji. I
Very
will
nice.
be well prepared next time. Yeah.
Very nice. I don't think you're quite well prepared. We never thought that you have lost your realization. I mean, everybody felt the same. No problem. Very good. You gathered yourself very well. Very nice. And most of
Prabhuji,
the time,
it was all over the place, Prabhuji.
I don't think so. Because most of the time, we are well prepared when we are not prepared. You know, that's when the heart speaks. You know, they pray to Krishna. So very nice. But I can tell you one thing: before you came to New Zealand, we knew about you, because your Adi Guru, Shital Prabhu that told me about you, that I'm training my nephew like this, Or I said, okay, very good, So he's doing a little bit here, there, with his sister also, that. So very nice. And look, his book he left, and that helped you, And now you are on the path of Krishna consciousness. So never leave him,
And there was actually Prabhuji, all the books were there, but I didn't read them. I had the chance, but yeah, I read I started with the science of self-realization, but I some chapters I read from here and there and started with that. Yeah.
Small books are meant for that way, That's why small books are over there. You pick up from here, pick up from there. Concepts are there. Yeah.
And I was very confused though in those days. Whenever you go to the Jain temple, there is those tirthankars, and when you bow down to the tirthankar and you chant those, say that there is the mantra also in Jainism. So you say that, and then you get a question what is the truth? What am I doing is right, or the chanting Krishna's name is the right way? So that was the confusion actually.
Very good, very good. No more confusion, huh?
No more Prabhuji.
Very nice. This is best realization. This is best. You praying to show me the absolute truth. 4 kind of people come to me, Krishna says. Among them, one is the seekers of the absolute truth.
That's why, Prabhuji, when you asked that what is the purpose of this Namata program, so I remember I said that teaching people the truth. So that's why it came from
Very nice, very nice. That's why I like the realization programs. It's very good. We know where you're coming from. What it is very nice, wonderful. We are a little still off the time now, but still we can wait for some realization if you want to. Please feel free. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I'm just listening to all the nectar and I just don't have any words. I'm just so moved. And every realization today has really touched my heart. It's just amazing to be in association of such wonderful devotees. I'm very overwhelmed, actually, really very overwhelmed with all the realizations that everyone has shared. And I feel like this is really the association that anyone could aspire to have. So thank you very much from the bottom of my heart to all the wonderful devotees. And this just made me also feel that no devotee is new or young or old or anything like that, So I'm just going to say a very short realization on one of the mellows that Prabhuji shared. We live our lives according to what we want to live, and we expect Krishna to follow our senses. So we put the dictates of our senses on Rishikesha, means Krishna, controller of the senses, forgetting that he is the owner of our senses. Because he created our senses, he has first right over us, and nobody, including us, have this right over our senses. His Holiness Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj Shila Gurudev Ki Jai. When I read this, I really felt that it is so true, that we always have a plan and we want to lead our life as per the plan. And if things don't go as per the plan, then we are very disappointed. And there is always a blame then, or always something which we try to follow or try to understand why things are not happening this way or that way. But I remember when we came into Krishna consciousness, and I mentioned this point earlier, there was a lot of one thing was very prominent, which I did not realize then, but only after so many years I'm realizing. At that time, one thing was very prominent, that as Prabhuji says, we were mad. So we were totally focused on, our lives were totally focused on how this preaching activities can increase. And I remember conversations and weekends of discussions about Prabhuji just discussing about this. And after coming to New Zealand, I kind of lost contact with my friends in India or my colleagues and everything like that. And then when I went back to India, I remember having conversation with one of my friends, and they were saying, we're planning to do this, we're planning to do that. This has happened, this hasn't happened. This is my 5-year-old goal, and this is my 10-year-old goal, and all those things. And it's like we had, we have all these big plans, family plans or whatever for the son or the child. And then she asked me the question, what about you? And I was completely blank. I said, I actually don't have any plan at this moment. Like, how I'm going to plan my life, material life, whether it is this or that. And I just realized that actually it's been so long that we haven't discussed these things in terms of, it's trying to focus on, because we were so attracted by Krishna consciousness in the initial stages. And then I also realized that actually, even if you don't plan, you don't really need to plan about your spiritual or, your material life, because Krishna really takes care. So as much as you have to allow Krishna to take charge of your life, even if you don't allow him, he is so readily wanting to take charge of your life. So you can focus on him. And I remember Srila Gurudev saying this, that, you just focus on Krishna, you just focus on thinking about Krishna, and he will take care of everything. And I would definitely say that there are small and big occasions in my life that I have felt so many times the presence of Krishna, and how Krishna can actually take care of all your things that you can't think of, and in much better way than what if you would plan them. So I asked my friend this question, and I said, so you've done all these plans 5 years back, 10 years back, how many of them have actually you have been able to fulfill? And she did mention to me that actually it's very hard. You do plan, but it doesn't work as per plan. And then you have to keep changing your plan to suit the changes that happen. So I was saying to her that, so you're planning and you're keep on changing your plan, but what's the point? You're wasting so much time. And she agreed that yes, it's probably because coming from the background that they were, I would not have any kind of Krishna conscious conversation with them. So if I would tell them, you have these difficulties, maybe you should try to chant a round or two, then I don't want to fall into any routine, I can't do this. I can do it, but if you tell me to do it every day, then that becomes pressure for me, so I can't do it. So I was like, okay, maybe they're not ready for it, or maybe I'm not so qualified to explain. But eventually then the conversations, we realized that because they same realization as Parth and Vivanshi, and they had that, when people see what is happening in your lives and they see the change in you, they want to know why it's happening and would try to implement that. So my realization is that if we really are very sincere and we try to focus on preaching Krishna's message, then we don't have to worry about anything else. Everything else is taken care of. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. As they say, there was a television serial come up in India, comedy television serial. And there the comedian would say, जो सोचता है वो होता नहीं, और जो होता है वो सोचता नहीं, इसलिए जो होता है वो सोचने लगता है. This is exactly how materialistic people do, What they plan doesn't happen. What is happening is not planned. So whatever happens, they start to plan, they accept it, And they think, oh, what is happening I had planned, so I am right, जो होता है वो सोचता नहीं, और जो सोचता है वो होता नहीं, और जो हो रहा है वो सोचता नहीं, इसलिए जो होता है वो सोचने लगता है. Simple as that, Okay, anybody else, please, before we finish today's discussion? Please feel free. We'll wait for 5 seconds, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, just to add to Mataji's realization, where actually means that's it's so true that material plans, you have to keep changing, and the same realization I hear from other people as well. So true. And what my realization is that actually when you focus on your devotional plans, your material plans actually they realize in a surprising way. You can't even believe it. And I also remember actually Mayuresh, like when I started talking to him, he actually just shared the realization. It's all glories to actually Amrish Bhuve, in fact, at the time. Because all this Namada discussion, I just repeated, what we used to discuss to him. And I tried to actually convince him to chant, and he chanted once round, I still remember. And later again, I asked him next day, are you going to chant? And he said, oh, it takes too long. I said, it's just one round. I said, and it was I still remember that moment. I said, how long it take? I said, just look at the clock, 6-7 minutes. You can't take out 6-7 minutes out of one day. And I keep forcing him, I was there for about a month or so, but I used to force him to just keep chanting, one round at least. And somehow actually he kept it ticking, and Amrish also allowed him to have that actually beats. I remember actually I was in Radha Pandranath temple in Pandharpur. So I actually, I thought that I should ask Amrish Prabhu, whether he can start chanting on the beats. And I called him from there. I still remember the discussion. And Prabhuji asked me to actually offer it to the Srila Prabhupada there, keep it, and then give it to him. And we did that. And somehow, actually he's now chanting 16 rounds. So, Krishna's plan works. Guru Maharaj, Amrish Prabhu's, everyone's mercy is there. So, yeah, actually means there is no loss in making an effort in preaching. You never know, who can become a devotee.
Yes, indeed. Srila Prabhupada took some, one lady took one poha, chipped rice from Prabhupada's plate and had it. Air hostess. She became a devotee. Can you imagine? And she doesn't have any association. She did not met anybody. At the time, internet was not there at the time. In Brazil, some internal town, and after many years, one devotee went to Brazil, into internal town, village of the Brazil. And there he found, knocking at the door, doing book distribution. She opened the door, she saw, she come inside, and then they come inside, they saw Krishna, Prabhupada, and he said, yes, I was the air hostess. And I took one chip, one handful of flat rice, and had it. That was my starting of devotional service. This Prabhupada's mercy, no? Sure. Yes, and anybody else, please? We'll wait for 10 seconds. No? Okay. All right. So thank you very much. We complete our today's discussion. We see you, meet you next week, same place, same time. And today, who's going to sing? Who's prepared to sing? Yeah? It's Subhadra's turn today and Madhav's turn. Yes? Wonderful. Let's start. Let's start. No? No? Yes? No?
I think it is Navina's turn, Prabhu.
I think so.
She's raising hand like this from behind.
She's hiding behind Navina.
You want to sing, Navina?
Of course she wants to sing. Come, Navina, let's start.
Maharaj, Maharaj, please hear us.
Maharaj,
Maharaj, please hear us.
We have learned such real good stuff.
We have learned some real good stuff.
Maharaj, we have learned one thing.
Maharaj, we have learned one thing.
And today for you we will sing.
And today for you we will sing.
If our room is clean,
If our room is clean,
then our mind is clean.
then our mind is clean.
If our mind is clean,
If our mind is clean,
we can do anything.
we can do anything.
If our room is clean,
If our room is dirty,
if our room is dirty,
if our room is dirty,
then so are we. Then
then
so are we.
yeah, if your room is, okay, repeat.
If your room is clean,
No.
If our room is clean,
if our room is clean,
then our mind
then our mind
it
is
is
clean.
clean.
then our mind is clean.
If our mind is clean,
If our mind is
clean,
we can do anything.
we
we
can
can
do
do
anything.
very
If
good.
our room is dirty,
If our room is dirty,
then so are we.
then so are we.
If we are dirty,
And if we are dirty,
we are not happy.
we're not happy.
Wasting time
Wasting time
is the greatest crime,
is the greatest crime,
because wasted mind
because wasted mind
means a wasted time.
Because wasted time.
Because wasted time.
Because wasted time means a
Because
wasted,
wasted time.
means a wasted
Wasted
mind.
mind.
It's a wasted mind.
So best use your time
So best use your time
when you're in your prime.
when you're in your prime,
And your whole life
and your whole life
will be sublime.
will be sublime.
If your wealth is gone,
If your wealth is gone,
then there's nothing wrong.
then there is nothing wrong.
But if your health is gone,
But if your health is gone,
that's a different song.
that's a different song.
But if your character dies,
But if your character dies,
then the world will cry.
then the world will cry.
Only saintly behavior,
Only saintly behavior,
that's humanity thrive.
does humanity thrive.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
We must always remember Krishna.
We must always remember Krishna
And never forget him too.
and never forget him too.
But how are we to practice this with so many things to do?
But how are we to practice this with so many things to do?
That is the greatest question.
That is the greatest question.
And here is the greatest clue.
And here is the greatest clue.
You must learn to work so nicely that Krishna remembers you.
We must learn to work so nicely that Krishna remembers you.
So listen very closely.
So listen very closely
And make your thinking sharp.
and make your thinking sharp.
You must learn to work so nicely that Krishna remembers you.
Let's learn to work so nicely that
Krishna
remembers you.
So listen very closely
So listen very closely
and make your thinking sharp.
and make your thinking sharp.
let's learn how we
Can live and work so Krishna won't depart.
Let's
let's
learn
learn how we can live and work so Krishna won't depart.
If something's due tomorrow
If something's due tomorrow,
and finish it today,
finish it today.
and whatever's due today,
And whatever's due today,
do it now, don't delay.
do it now, don't delay.
Your friends might be lazy
If your friends might be lazy
or doing bad things,
or doing bad things,
but if you think again,
if you think again,
don't follow them,
don't follow them,
and you will win the end.
and you will win the end.
Whatever work we given,
Whatever work we given,
we do our very best,
we do our very best.
and
We only live.
we only live with what we need and give Krishna the rest.
We only live with what we need and give Krishna the rest.
This is how to live, to work and to play. You can learn to live this way, you'll see Krishna every day.
This is how to live, to work and to play. If we learn to live this way, we'll see Krishna every day.
And when our time is up, we take ourselves above. We sing and dance with him with our hearts full of love.
And when our time is up, he'll take us up above. We'll sing and dance with him with a heart full of love.
To chant Krishna's name, his glories and his fame is the only way his world you'll ever become same.
So chant Krishna's names, his glories and his fame. This is the only way this world will ever become same.
Now please ask this greatest question
Now please ask this greatest question
and find this greatest clue.
and find this greatest clue.
You can only remember Krishna
You can only remember Krishna
if Krishna remembers you.
if Krishna remembers you.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Surendra Shila Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj Shila Gurudev Ki Jai Jagat Guru Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtan Mahayagna Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Chandra Premanande Hari Hari Bol Shri Ananta Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vastaya Bhutala Shrimati Mahavishnu Goswami Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vastaya Bhutala Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Govani Pachayani Nivesheshu Nari Pachayani Sarini Jai, Hare Krishna. So we'll see you all next week, same place, same time. Hare Krishna. Till then, chant and be happy.
Hare
Bol.
Krishna.